Hello everyone, I hope you're doing alright, and I hope since my last video you've not had any awkward conversations with your cousins. Today I'm joined by Paddy, who's just moved off camera, there we go. But otherwise, today we're going to be talking about the story that no one's talking about. I'm of course referencing the grooming gangs inquiry that we're having at the moment this week. So just a quick summary of the grooming gangs. Now, I'm trying to be nicer on YouTube, so YouTube kind of promotes my stuff a bit more. We have a bit of a problem with foreign people coming to this country and then assaulting little children. That's it in a nutshell. Now, of course, the grooming gangs, a lot of you might have already heard of, or a lot of you might not have heard of so much. It's been happening for years. It was 2014, the Rotherham grooming gang sort of came up, and since then it's just kind of been a wave of more and more of them, and the highlight is basically Asian men, basically Pakistanis, mostly Muslim, would do horrible things to little children, mainly white working class girls, and the police, social care, NHS would all cover it up because we don't want to look racist. In fact, Elon Musk has taken a big shine to this, and he's really not happy with it all. And it really feels like the rest of the world is more angry about this than the actual British people are. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through some of the snippets from this week of the grooming gang inquiry and just review it. Now, before we do that, I'm going to show you a video from 2008, okay? So this is 18 years ago. This was before sort of a lot of the news about the grooming gangs came out. But we're going to watch this video because I just want you to see sort of in context back then what the thinking was like. So let's have a listen.
In 2008, an 11-year-old girl came to the attention of the police after she disclosed that she and another child had been sexually abused by a group of adult males. Just a few weeks later, she was found in a derelict house with another child and a number of adult males. Yet she was arrested, 11 years of age, she was arrested for being drunk and disorderly, and none of the males were arrested. Has your force identified the police officers involved in that and found out what went on?
I don't know.
Okay.
Don't know.
Police officer dismissed the case of a 12-year-old girl who'd been having sex with up to 5 Asian males because he said she had been, quote, 100% consensual in every incident. 12 years of age? I think that's unbelievable, to be honest. Have you identified who that officer was and found out what happened there?
Can I just make one thing clear? That I've said today that we must have an independent investigation team to come back at this. I have also personally spoken to the Director of Investigations
if a report,
at the IPCC.
Sorry, Mr. Austin, could the Chief Constable just finish? Please finish.
I've also personally spoken to the Director of Investigations at the IPCC, and in order to involve them in this as well.
Fathers had tracked down their daughters and tried to remove them from houses where they were being abused, only to find themselves arrested when police were called to the scene. Do you know what happened in that case?
Chair, I don't seek to defend any of this, and that I've asked for I'm in the process of setting up an independent investigation because the number of staff at Rotherham over such a period of time means that it can't have credibility unless we have some independence to the investigative process.
One of your officers decided that a 12-year-old girl was having sex with up to 5 adults and was 100% consenting in every incident. Should somebody like that be working for the police? So, I mean, somebody's capable of making a decision like that.
No, it's a dreadful decision. And I've set my position out to find out about it.
Right, so as you can see there, basically, kind of just what I said. So, Asian males ended up being Pakistani. This is South Yorkshire, by the way, 2008. Obviously, nothing was done. Police would arrest the girls for being drunk and disorderly, not the men, obviously, they're having sex with them. If a father found them, you'd expect the police to come in and help get the girl out of that situation. No, they arrest the dad. Can you literally imagine that in any other country? Like, if this was America, they'd all be getting shot. Like, obviously, you know what I mean? Like you try that crap in Texas, the dad's going to roll up and everyone in that building is dead. Okay, so, but for some reason in the UK, nope, because they're brown, it's fine. So that's what we're dealing with, right? So Restore Britain, for those that don't know, Restore Britain is a political movement. It's not a party. Basically, it's kind of been spearheaded, I think, by Rupert Lowe. It's got lots of big people in it. But they're essentially sort of, I think, just trying to become sort of a political force, sort of, and then when voting does come, they'll sort of, I don't know, tip their hands on the scales. Rupert Lowe, MP for Great Yarmouth, obviously already known as a great bloke, he had an interview with Emily Maitlis. Now, I'm just going to play this because this is before, like, the inquiry sort of started getting legs. So
you just trying to talk about Pakistani grooming gangs when there are 4 times, 8 times and 10 times as many white grooming gang suspects?
Do you not think, Emily, there's an issue with Pakistani Muslims raping working class white underage girls? Do you not think there's an issue there?
I think
there is.
Oh, sorry, my camera off.
There's no issue.
Appalling issue with grooming.
Are you telling
when it
me
hits any community and any age?
Are you
we
telling
only
me?
ever hear
Are
you
you
talk
telling me
about
there's no issue?
Pakistani
Are you telling me
perpetrators.
there's no issue?
I'm telling you that you are focusing on Pakistani grooming gangs because probably you're racist.
Right, so for those that don't know, Emily Maitlis used to be BBC presenter. She's now in the newsagents. Quick think, newsagents are libtards. If you watch the newsagents, you're a libtard. That's it. Obviously, now, what she's saying, statistically, is accurate. There are more victims of white grooming gangs than there are of Pakistani ones, which would make sense because, at the moment, the country is predominantly white. The only difference is the white grooming gangs don't sort of do the same level of torture as these Asian ones do. And obviously, just with most of these libtards, they sort of clutch their pearls and go, oh, what about this? So it's like, okay, Pakistanis aren't from Britain. They've been imported, which means if you've brought in a problem, that's probably a whole lot worse than a problem that originated here. Because a problem that originated here, you've got no control of having brought it in. But if you've brought it in, someone's to blame. So that's why we're talking about that. So yeah, newsagents, libtards, absolutely libtards. So now, one thing I haven't mentioned, this rape gang inquiry, this is sort of the third rape gang inquiry you've probably heard of. So starting off, Reform, Nigel Farage said that they would do one. That was all bluster. They never did. The Labour Party, the government, they said they wouldn't do one, had a vote on it. All the Labour MPs voted not to do it. Then, when there was enough political pressure, they finally turned around and said, oh, okay, we will do one. Jess Phillips was in charge of it. And as for those who don't know, Jess Phillips is completely beholden to the Muslim vote in her constituency, so she ain't going to do shit. They've only just elected a chair. And what was it, 4 of the sort of rape gang survivors who were sort of on the committee, they quit in protest because it's like this is just complete pandering. So that's that. Right, one other thing then. During this, I know this week's been a very sort of busy week with the Jeffrey Epstein files being released. Lord Mandelson obviously being caught in his white fronts and being removed from the Labour Party. But there's still room for other stories to be told. Okay, the human mind or the news organisations do have the capacity to write about one story, more than one story at a time. All right, but as you can see here, there's not a single word about it on the BBC, Telegraph, ITV, Sky News, Mail, ABC, The Sun, The Guardian. The only people that have been talking about it from what I've seen is GB News and Talk TV. All right, those are the only 2. You're probably wondering why. Well, quick question. Does anybody actually seen anything about the Iran uprising in the last few weeks? The answer is probably no. Iran has had a bit of an uprising recently. 13,000 civilians have been killed by the IRGC. Why has that not been sort of on the news often? Well, because it's a Islamic government and you can't show any sort of Islamic government doing anything naughty. Because at the moment, we're trying to make Muslims look like angels in the UK. So that's why they don't tell you about it, and that's why they're not reporting on this inquiry. A, because it'll probably embarrass the government because they're not doing anything, and most of these news providers are basically in the pocket of the government Because if you don't play, to the government line, you don't get the interviews, you don't get the press passes. It's obvious. So that's that. Right. Now, I'm not going to read this whole thing out. I'm going to go through a few snippets of what some of the survivors have said. This is a whole post by Rupert Lowe for the first week of the hearings. One thing I'm going to point out here is one woman we spoke to was raped, because I can't say that word, by 600 to 700 men. Like, something I was thinking about earlier. You know how, like, you watch a movie or you read a news article and a woman is assaulted and it's like the end of the world, like it completely like ruins their life. It's a horrible thing. Some of these girls have had it done multiple times to them. Okay. And yet no one cares. There was actually one story. I want to give a very brief summary of it. Because I can't find it at the moment. But there was one girl who was assaulted by an Asian man. She ran out looking for help, was picked up by a car, who happened to be another Asian man, who then took her back to his house, assaulted her, called up some of his men's, assaulted her again, and then she left, tried finding help, got picked up by another Asian man, and guess what happened? She got assaulted again. Basically, you think the first one was an ordeal that she needs to go get help. No, that night was an absolute nightmare for her. Does anyone care? No, of course not. That's fine. All right, here's just a quick bit of testimony from the Grape Gang survivor. As he left the dock to be taken down to custody, so they have started arresting people begrudgingly. I was literally verbally assaulted by a sister who shouted Allahu Akbar. Now, there's one of the towns, I don't know if it was Oldham or Rotherham, but basically it was like 1 in 8 people of the Pakistani community were involved in these grape gangs, okay? Which meant basically everyone knew about it. And as you can see here, imagine if your brother was one of these filthy perpetrators, right? He's in court, and you can see the girl who he tormented. What in your right mind why would you blame her and then verbally assault her? Well, reason for it is very simple. Because it says in the Quran that basically if you're an infidel, you're open market. If you're a slave, they can do whatever they want to you. The men believe that. The women believe that. Because guess what? They're not infidel, so they obviously think they're better than them. So if you're getting a lot of sort of, I don't know, anti-Islamic rhetoric from me, there's a reason for it, right? Because they're all in on it. The sooner you realise that, the sooner you wake up. All right. Nope, that's the same one. And I got another one to read out for you. One that's actually happened to my friend. She was in that house and she was forced into it by a 24-year-old woman who said, go in the room with him and have intercourse with him. Go and effing do it. And I remember her scream so loudly, come running back and half dressed and saying that she was bleeding and in pain. Okay. All right, this is going to be a very quick one today, but I just want to I know it's not fun. I just want to get the whole point across to you. What's happened here is an absolute national tragedy. It's a national tragedy for multiple reasons. The first is we've imported these people into our lands. Okay, none of this should have happened. All right, but for some reason, some dickhead in the Home Office decided we needed more Pakistanis in this country. Okay, and as a result of that, thousands of our children, because they are our children, they're British girls, have had their lives absolutely ruined. Okay, now that's the first thing is absolutely terrible. Okay, and if people aren't pissed off by that, fine, you're a retard. The second thing is that a lot of these instances have been covered up by police, by social workers, by the NHS. There's even one occasion where a social worker attended a wedding for an underage girl and her perpetrator. Didn't raise any alarm bells. Didn't say anything. Just it's fine. And the whole reason for this is because these people are brown. These people are of a different religion. So if we say anything about it, you're racist. Okay, this whole what was it? Was it suicide for empathy that white people seem to have is absolutely ridiculous. Another problem with this is the fact that I think people aren't aware of the scope of this. Now, I've literally glossed over just a few of these instances, and if any one of these happened, normally that would be enough to get the pitchforks out and be absolutely mental. But we've got the mainstream media saying, "Oh, it's all a hoax. Oh, none of it's real," because again, they're part of the liberal elite who, I'll be honest, are just trying to look. You always know that they're trying to erode British culture. They despise the working class. Okay, so who cares if this stuff happens to them? They don't care. So they're constantly going out there trying to just besmirch people raising it. I've got people I know who suffered from TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome. They now suffer from EDS, Elon Derangement Syndrome, because Elon Musk was one of the people who thinks this is absolutely disgusting and is using his platform, X, to bang on about it. Tommy Robinson. Now, if you recall, on YouTube, you couldn't actually say the name Tommy Robinson because your video would get delisted. You had to call him, he would not be named Lord Voldemort, right? He's been out there banging the drum for years about these grooming gangs, and anytime you mention Tommy Robinson to somebody, they'll go, "Oh yeah, he's a racist. Oh yeah, he's done all this." And it's like, okay, who told you that? Oh, the media. Okay, and then you say to them, "Do you believe everything the media tells you?" No, but I believe about this. Like, again, I'm sorry if I'm coming across really angry, but you can't lead a horse to water and make it drink, okay? You can't get people who haven't been reasoned into a position to be reasoned out of it, okay? What I'm finding, the more I talk to people and the more I read, is that a lot of British people are sheep, okay? They just sit there, drink the mainstream media Kool-Aid, and that's it. And then they've come to a informed decision. Don't do any of their own research. Don't bother looking into it. The other thing that might be an actual thing about this, and this might be the worst thing at all, is that a lot of my friends don't seem to give two shits about this, right? And the reason I think it is because they think that they're above these victims. And it's like, okay, Piers Morgan said he would happily trade a bunch of white people so that he can have a curry, or certain white people. If we get to a stage now where we are quite happy to have underage girls being gang raped, being tortured, forced to have pregnancies, some of them have actually been killed, sorry, unalived, but that's too late, done that, and you don't care because it's some girl in a northern town or something like that, fuck you, honestly. Sorry, it just makes me so angry because the more I read about what's happened to these girls. I mean, that's bad enough, but the fact that no one's doing anything about it, the fact that the government would just sit on its hands, especially a Labour government, because most of where this happened is in Labour-held councils, so so if there was, a lynch mob, they'd be being hung up. The Tories didn't want to do anything about it. Why? Because they don't want to be seen as racist, because obviously Tories are meant to be the right-wingers, so they will do anything in their power to not look racist. They made Kemi leader. I mean, come on. What more do you need to say? So, last point I'm going to make, sorry, it's a bit of a rant, is stop listening to mainstream media, okay? I bet none of you knew about Iran until I just mentioned it. Download X on your phone, make an account, get your news from there instead. Why? Because it's what the news should be. It's just open, it's free, and you can find all the information you want. Nothing's censored. Any subject that interests you, you can go find about. You don't have to be drip fed what's happening by the liberal elites in the BBC, ITV, Sky News, whoever, because the media spent years and years making sure that they tell you what the worldview is because there was no alternative, right? Now there is. And trust me, the more you read other news stories and you wonder why aren't these people reporting on it, it will open your mind and you'll say, there is an agenda. And once you know what that agenda is, you start seeing the world differently. So please go open your mind, go on X, find out more, do your own research. Or be a little gullible sheep, and then one day when there's call to prayers happening in your hometown and your wife and daughters are being forced to wear burqas, you'll go, oh, but I thought they were all lovely. Oh no. Never mind then. Anyway, guys, with that in mind, please like the video if you liked it. Do subscribe, and feel free to put a comment. No one ever does, and you know what? That's fine. I know a lot of people message me directly about it, and you probably don't want to get caught in the crosshairs, but I don't care. I want my country free of these, let's be honest, foreign invaders butchering our girls, and I can't be alone in that. And I don't think, and I know I'm not. So yeah, stand up and be counted, or be a pussy. Up to you. Have a good day. Bye bye.